Nestled between the rugged limestone hills and the sparkling Adriatic Sea lies a hidden jewel of Croatia, Vrana Lake. This is the largest natural lake in the country, stretching wide and wild, almost kissing the coastline. Dense belts of reeds line its shores, swaying like green waves. In spring and autumn, they echo with the voices of migrating birds. Many species pause here to rest, to feed, some even to stay and raise their young. But birds are only part of the story. Fish, turtles, dragonflies, wildflowers, all thrive in this quiet sanctuary. And people, too, have long been drawn to these waters. From ancient ruins to modern trails, Vrana Lake is rich in cultural heritage and alive with new adventures. A rising haven for birdwatchers, hikers and cyclists alike. This is Vrana Lake, where nature breathes and the wild still whispers. Croatia's largest lake isn't hidden in its wetter, continental heartland, but right here in the middle of the karst. Located along the sun-drenched Adriatic coast of Dalmatia, the lake lies serenely between the historic towns of Zadar and Šibenik. From a high lookout point, its scale comes into view, 30.2 square kilometers of shimmering freshwater. Shaped like a long ribbon, the lake stretches 13.6 kilometers from northwest to southeast, yet remains narrow, no more than 1.4 to 3.4 kilometers wide. It runs almost perfectly parallel to the coast. In some places, just 800 meters of land separate it from the sea, at most 2.5 kilometers. From above, it may even seem the Adriatic has spilled inland, forming a tranquil lagoon. But that's an illusion. The tall reeds, rushes, and other wetland plants tell a different story. This is a freshwater world, shaped not by the sea, but by inland life. Vrana Lake isn't a typical lake. It's actually a flooded karst field, an ancient alluvial basin, resting in the lowest part of the Ravni-Katari region. Waters from a vast 470 square kilometer area drain into this natural bowl, making it a giant collection point for rain and runoff. And there's another hidden secret. The lake's surface lies 2 meters below sea level, making it a rare cryptodepression. Several man-made canals feed the lake, the largest being the main and lateral canals. A few local springs join in too. When the rains come, the water rises quickly and falls just as fast when the sky's clear. Shallow and wide, with depths of just 2 to 5 meters, Vrana's waters mirror the weather. Warmed by the sun, cooled by the breeze, it breathes with the seasons. It's spring, and the water is still high. Left behind by autumn and winter rains, it floods the meadows and seeps into the reeds. This isn't a disturbance, it's the natural rhythm of Vrana Lake. Here in the Mediterranean, most rainfall comes during the colder months. The water level rises in late autumn and stays high until early spring. In the shallows, a squacco heron wades slowly on its tall legs. Patiently, it searches for amphibians and invertebrates hiding among the reeds. Close by, a little egret moves through the reeds, intent on its prey, quietly satisfying its hunger. And then she appears, the black-winged stilt. With long, slender legs, she glides across the flooded grassland. Her curved bill makes hunting easy. Later in spring, she'll nest far from here in the Ninsol pans. Not far away, the shift shaft flits through the low shrubs at the meadow's edge. Small, determined, its prey is tiny, but every catch counts. At dusk, the air comes alive. Swarms of chironomid midges rise to dance and mate, like clouds that shimmer and breathe. They look like mosquitoes, but the females don't bite. These drifting flocks dissolve and reform, pulsing in the twilight sky. And into this feast sweep flocks of swallows, just arrived from the south. Agile and precise, they feed mid-air. Soon they'll build nests under the eaves of nearby homes. mud-cup nests shaped like half a globe, tucked close to human life. At Vrana Lake, contrasts meet. Soft lakebed mud presses up against hard, rugged karst rock. But even this stony ground comes to life in spring. Flowers bloom before the sun scorches the bare stone. One of the first, wild sage, sometimes carpeting entire meadows with purple-blue hues. Insects swarm to the blossoms, lured by sweet nectar. Ants gather leftovers below. Butterflies flit in the open, undeterred. A silent Egyptian locust rests motionless on a branch, well camouflaged. Spiders wait patiently in their webs, taking full advantage of the buzzing traffic. And slowly moving through the rocky terrain, a Hermann's tortoise wanders without fear. Her shell is her fortress. Out on the water, damselflies and dragonflies perform their own ritual. The male clasps the female as she lays her eggs into the shallows. From those eggs, larvae will hatch and spend years hidden in the depths until one day they rise, transformed, and take flight above the lake. Spring is slowly awakening. The reeds turn green. Pushing through last year's dry remains a silent signal that life is returning. But most of the lake remains open water, a shimmering kingdom ruled by ducks, coots, gulls, and other water birds. Now, even they retreat into the reeds. A coot has built its nest on the edge, nothing more than a rough heap of gathered plants. Sheltered by shallow, muddy waters, the springtime reeds transform into bustling breeding colonies, alive with herons and countless other birds. The purple heron has gone a bit higher, yet still hides deep in the dense reed beds. The marsh harrier, queen of the wetlands, builds her nest on the ground, carefully concealed in the thick vegetation. In spring, the reed beds echo with the song of the great reed warbler. Loud, persistent, yet the singer remains unseen as he defends his patch. Chasing off rivals, he weaves his nest, like many small songbirds here, between strong reed stems. And then, the pygmy cormorant, critically endangered in Croatia. Vrana Lake is its only stable nesting site in the country. Protecting this place is vital, not just for the lake, but for the survival of this species. In total, 13 bird species found here have populations of national and even international importance. Together with Cernameca, Kopacki Reet, Lonsko Polier, and the Nerefa Delta, Vrana Lake is part of the Ramsar Network, a global list of the world's most important wetlands. Once, the reed beds stretched far beyond what we see today, across a vast expanse known as Vrana Mudflats. It was nearly the size of the lake itself. A great wetland laced with natural channels, slowly filtering water into the lake, the lowest point in the landscape. Until the mid-18th century, this was a place of seasonal floods and shifting marshes. But that changed. In the 1700s, Venetian nobleman Francesco Borelli took control of the Vrana estate and launched what was then a revolutionary idea, the draining of Vrana's Great Marsh. The first step? Digging the Proseca Canal, a man-made link connecting the lake to the sea. As the salt water poured in, the lake dropped by 3 meters. The wetland began to dry. By the 20th century, the canal had a fixed profile 8 meters wide, with a threshold just 30 centimeters above sea level. Drainage channels, embankments, and pumping stations followed. Flooding was halted, and the landscape transformed forever. Even today, Vrana Field remains a fertile oasis, a true agricultural gem carved into the karst. Irrigation canals feed the crops through the searing summer heat. And here, something unexpected thrives: wheat, a crop we usually associate with the vast lowlands of the Pannonian Plain. Just north of the lake lies a narrow, elongated valley, the cultivated heartland near the village of Vrana. It's hard to imagine soft, fertile soil tucked between such dry and rocky hills, but this land gives generously. In the nearby villages, women still braid garlic and onions by hand, carrying on a tradition rooted deep in the soil. After a clear night, the morning is cool, but the lake water already holds the memory of warmth. A thick mist blankets Vrana Lake. As the sun begins to rise, its golden light filters through the fog, turning the lake into a glowing stage. Then slowly, the sun dries the air. By mid-morning, the heat sets in. Rain becomes rare, temperatures rise, and by noon, the sun is strong. Summer is coming. Nearby, the beaches along the Adriatic begin to fill with tourists. But here, the mood is different. No mud, just stone and pine. The nearby town of Croatia, a classic Dalmatian small town, comes alive with the rhythm of summer visitors. Some of them wander inland to the lake. A raised boardwalk leads into the reeds, letting visitors walk above the wetland without disturbing it. Along the trail, birdwatching shelters offer shade and quiet, perfect for watching nature unfold. And after watching birds, why not play? Just a short walk from the reeds, hidden among the pines, lies an adventure park for children. Wooden mushrooms, hanging bridges, climbing walls, nets, even a zipline. Here, young explorers can test their courage and awaken the adventurer within. As the scorching summer fades, the water retreats. Meadows are left dry. Even the lake grows warmer. Beneath the surface, the world turns murky, but the fish don't mind. 17 species call this lake home. Mullet and eel thrive in both fresh and salty water, migrating through the Croatia Canal. After World War II, carp, catfish, and other large, desirable species were released for aquaculture and fishing. Smaller fish, like pumpkin seed, Prussian carp, and mosquito fish, were added to control mosquito populations. Today, they dominate both in number and in biomass. There's a natural connection between the lake and the sea, hidden within the porous limestone. It makes the water slightly salty, brackish. This connection is strongest at Jugavir, on the southeastern edge of the lake. When the Jugo wind blows from the south, seawater pushes into the lake. The effect is even stronger during low water levels, especially if it coincides with a high tide. Then, seawater rushes in, even through the man-made Croatia Canal. In 1989, the sea entered the lake for nearly an entire year. When that happens, the lake turns salty almost overnight, and fish die. But not the eels. These ancient creatures adapt to both salt and fresh water. And when the time comes, they begin their legendary migration, all the way to the distant Sargasso Sea across the Atlantic. Old fishermen knew this. They built stone traps, low walls to catch migrating eels in small pools. A fisherman's hut stood guard beside them, protecting the catch from theft. That hut still stands today, along with the remains of the stone weirs. Eels weren't just a delicacy. They were survival. Back when tourism didn't exist, when life depended on olives, figs, and vines grown in sweat-soaked soil. Especially in the south, where the land is lower and the traces of old life still remain. Dry stone walls, scattered groves, and humble bunyi. Field shelters built of stacked stone with domed, beehive-like roofs. Today, much of that landscape is fading. Thickets creep into abandoned olive groves. Though the groves have shrunk, the olive remains a treasured crop, a cornerstone of Dalmatian cuisine. And the olive harvest, it's more than tradition, it's a family event. And the bleating of goats and sheep, once common on the stony pastures near Vrana village, is now a rare sound. Today, only a handful of shepherds still lead their goats across the rugged, hard-to-reach karst. Goats can eat even the toughest plants, and for centuries, they've shaped the wild landscapes around Vrana Lake in places where humans never did. Down among the reeds, donkeys still roam, once essential work animals, perfectly suited for this rugged terrain. Today, they're just echoes of the past, living relics of a time when life moved slower and every step mattered. Vrana Lake has faced more than just natural challenges. For years, fires were a serious problem. In some cases, reeds were deliberately set ablaze by dissatisfied individuals. To protect the lake's natural wealth and to support sustainable development in surrounding communities of Vrana Lake was designated a nature park. One of the park's key roles is nature protection. Rangers patrol the lake by boat, discouraging or preventing illegal fishing, hunting, and other harmful activities. Another role is education and ecotourism. That's why the park created an interpretive trail. Along the route, visitors not only experience the landscape, they learn about its natural and cultural significance. Birdwatchers are becoming regular guests. From elevated towers, they can see both the water's surface and the gravel banks, and the birds that rely on them. By late summer, the water level drops so low that the lake begins to pull back. What remains are bare shorelines, wide, stony flats surrounded by reeds and shallow water. It's the perfect refuge for birds. Safe, open spaces where they can feed and rest, unseen by predators, hidden in plain sight. Coots are everywhere now, joined by their grown chicks. No longer bound to the reeds, they paddle freely in the shallows. Among them, a few pygmy cormorants hatch right here on the lake. Even a family of swans rests in the warm water. The little egret is a constant presence. And sometimes, a few grey or great white herons pass through. Black-headed gulls, who prefer freshwater, arrive in larger flocks, only to vanish again, chasing the next opportunity. Ducks are here too, and every so often, a rare northern shoveler glides by, its wide, unmistakable bill cutting through the surface. This is the realm of shorebirds, long-legged, long-billed wanderers like sandpipers and snipes. They probe the mud for insects and invertebrates washed up on the stony shore. Many birds take advantage of the exposed banks to forage more easily. It becomes a living corridor, a meeting place of species. Wagtails are especially active, darting and bouncing along the edge, both white and yellow. They rarely sit still, except to rest or preen, often for minutes at a time. Bathing is just as important as feeding. Clean feathers matter, especially with a long journey south ahead. Even birds of prey, like the sparrowhawk, come here for a quick wash. So do goldfinches, always in small flocks. More eyes mean more safety. And then, the starlings. Arriving like a moving cloud, they land together, feast and lift off as one, leaping across the lake in waves of motion. In late summer, a familiar instinct awakens. For birds, it's time to move south. The chill of early morning spreads across Europe, a quiet signal that migration must begin. To understand their journey, ornithologists set up fine mist nets almost invisible above the reeds. The birds, racing low over the wetlands, fly straight into them, gently caught, unharmed. Each morning begins early. At dawn, bird activity is at its peak. Carefully, the researchers remove each bird from the mesh. There's no panic, just calm, experienced hands. Back at the station, every bird is studied. Sex, age, and body measurements are recorded. A light aluminum ring is placed on its leg, like a passport, a license plate, a message to the world. If this bird is ever found again, anywhere, that tiny band tells a story. This one was here, at Vrana Lake. Likewise, any foreign ring found here reveals a different part of the puzzle, piece by piece, building a grand map of bird migration in and around this wetland crossroads. And then the bird is released, free again, guided by instinct and stars. Vrana Lake sits at the intersection of three major flyways, the eastern, central, and western Mediterranean corridors. It's a critical rest stop for thousands of migratory birds heading south from northern Europe and western Siberia all the way to Africa. Each summer, a small ornithological station comes to life here, staying active through autumn. During those months, it becomes home to a handful of dedicated ringers. They sleep here, eat here, work around the clock, because when migration calls, every hour, every bird matters. In the late afternoon, swallows return from the surrounding countryside to the lake, not just to feed, but to bathe. With breathtaking agility, they skim the surface, wings slicing the air, bodies dipping swiftly into the water. A true aerial spectacle, unfolding until the last light fades into dusk. These are moments of pure natural harmony, a paradise of calm, food, and water, the very reasons Vrana Lake is so vital along the migratory path of so many bird species. The sun sets, but the lake does not sleep. A full moon rises, casting silver light across the wetlands, and Vrana Lake glows, visible from far beyond the darkened hills. Vrana Lake is a paradise for filming birds. But capturing them well means getting close, very close, to animals that are naturally cautious. That means camouflage, silence, and patience. The mosaic of reeds and stony flats offers the perfect hiding places. And once you find the right position, it becomes a waiting game. But the reward, intimate glimpses into the private lives of birds, moments few ever witness. For those seeking a closer encounter, canoe paddling offers a whole new perspective. Gliding silently along the shoreline, visitors can explore hidden corners of the lake for weaving between tall reeds, skimming past shallows teeming with life. It's not just a peaceful journey, it's a true adventure deep into the wild heart of Vrana. The nature park also includes the dry, rocky hills above the lake. From afar, they may look barren, but up close, you'll find hidden canyons and pockets of dense forest tucked between the ridges. Several hiking trails wind through them, and thankfully, the climbs aren't steep. Walking here reveals a surprising richness of vegetation, even ancient oak trees hidden in the karst. A few gravel roads lead explorers around the lake, perfect for cycling. And though you're just a few kilometers from the bustling Adriatic coast, here it feels like true wilderness. Some of the trails lead to a special place, Kamenjak Viewpoint. From here, the view is breathtaking, not just of the lake, but the sparkling Adriatic beyond. On clear days, even the distant Kornati Islands appear on the horizon. Today, Kamenjak is a popular sunset destination. Visitors come to watch the day end in silence and beauty. Thanks to a small open-air tavern, it's possible to enjoy a local Dalmatian meal under the sky, with nothing but nature all around. And as the sun sinks lower, it lights up both lake and sea. Two shimmering mirrors glowing gold side by side. Hidden in the karst, and yet, this peaceful ridge was once a place of great tension. The dry hills above Vrana Lake, quiet today, once held immense strategic importance, especially during the era of Ottoman expansion. On the slopes of Osridak lies Gra Dinar, an ancient fortress with sweeping views of the valley below. A little further stands Mushkovica Han, the westernmost Ottoman caravanserai in Europe, meant to be a nobleman's palace, though never completed. Today, it is the only historical site here that has been fully restored. Deeper inland lie the ruins of Old Town Vrana, once home to a powerful Benedictine monastery from the 9th to the 16th century. And down by the lakeshore, at Trikviene, broken stones are all that remain of a once proud church. The rest, untouched, silent witnesses to time, wind, and empire. Here, where eagles soar and swallows skim the water, nature and history breathe the same air. Vrana Lake has always been more than a refuge for wildlife. It was once a borderland between worlds. Autumn fades, and winter arrives. Most migratory birds are already far to the south, yet Vrana Lake does not fall silent. While the continent shivers under snow and ice, the mild Mediterranean climate still cradles this wetland. From frozen lakes across Europe, waterbirds descend in staggering numbers. Sometimes over 100,000 in a single day. Coots alone may gather here in flocks exceeding 140,000. The surface of the lake turns black with life. These are the gifts of Vrana, a haven, a refuge even in the coldest season. But such scenes can only continue if the reeds survive, if the lake endures. Only with a balance between science, tradition, and sustainable stewardship can this harmony between people and nature be preserved. For Vrana Lake is more than a body of water. It is a living, breathing mosaic of seasons, species, and stories still unfolding.